Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Well, I invited your discussion and you did a good job. But I'm not done yet because there is, maybe we're done. I don't know. Part of what you learned, those of you that attended the empathic communication session, was like this in principle. It's very simple. The principle is simple. We all have needs, and violent communication may be when we're expecting other people to meet our needs and they don't match our expectation. We feel frustrated or anger or something. We have some negative emotion that arises towards another person. So we may do something, say something, or just like smolder inside and just feel a negative emotion. And then later, something that's inside is going to come outward. So that's this image that's on the screen. This is someone that's in their head. And somebody that lives like that. Next. Look at yourself as a bird that's sitting in a cage trying to get all your needs met by others. How does it feel? Uncomfortable. Next. Disempowering. We're not going to discuss because of time. So now what? Is there an alternative? Yes, there's an alternative. The alternative is freedom, where the bird gets out of the cage and you're no longer dependent upon others. That situation where you felt frustrated because your needs weren't being met and expecting others to meet those needs. You go back to that situation and look at yourself and others in that situation as spirit souls. This is connecting with yesterday's topic, the Madarshana topic. Don't see them as instruments to fulfill your needs. They're spirit souls and they have their needs. They're not meant to fulfill my needs. They have their responsibility. And in the Bhagavad Gita language, this is called, in Sanskrit, kshetra, which means field of activities, this body, and kshetra gya, one who knows. Gya means to know, one who knows the field of activities, the knower of the body and the knower of the body. That's a symptom of knowledge. Next. From this sacred meditation, which we didn't do because my laser pointer didn't work and I got distracted. Please see how your vision Please see how your vision of yourself, others, and the situation changed from non-acceptance to acceptance, respect, and service. And then, in other words, the Ahimsa principle is resting upon the spiritual conception of self and of others. Their existence is not to meet your needs. Your existence is not to meet their needs. You have relationships, a soul-to-soul relationship. You recognize, and in mood of service, you may try to do something that you know that they feel this is their need, and you may do that. And if you don't do that, you don't feel guilty. If they see that you don't do it, they don't feel ill towards you or worse. Next. Look at meeting your needs from the sacred space where expectations and frustrations are replaced with a mood of respect and service. Now, respect is a big word. Big word. In America, we've had these multiple body, mind, spirit retreats at a farm community, really nice place, and the whole topic was respect. Because it's so important. The fabric of any real relationship is respect. Doesn't mean they meet your needs, but you respect. Then the respect goes on the spiritual platform. And there's differences on the spiritual platform and the material platform, and you respect differences. And then you can have a soul to soul relationship with another person, even they're different than you. And it's not a problem. Supposing you don't have that spiritual conception, you're not going to have respect because they're not meeting your needs. They're all of this is connected. This session yesterday on nonviolent communication connects with all of this. Full realization of our spiritual nature is to become connected to the real us and to the divine nature. Then in turn, as you have that capacity, you can, and then in turn, see others in a similar way. Differences of body, difference of gender, differences of culture and language, and differences and differences. Different species, same thing. Internal absorption. That's Bhagavad Gita. Next. Once connected that way, this is the image that we saw yesterday with the Samadarshana. The learned person, that's this fellow on the right, he's able to see differences at the same time is able to see the oneness or the spiritual core that's within all living beings. It's possible. And when that possibility is connected with, that's yoga. Next. Okay, this has concentric circles. We're going to go slowly. Nonviolence, the inner core is yourself and your immediate relations. Next. Concentric circles go out. Community and society. Next. Nation or all of humanity. That's a bigger circle. Then all species of life. But you have to start at the center. Nonviolence to oneself, ahimsa. If you understand properly, correctly, realistically, what the principle of nonviolence or ahimsa is, it can apply, it must initially apply to yourself, and then concentric circles out. Said negatively, if you haven't made that connection to yourself, it's not concentric circles going to be messy. Guaranteed. Next. There it is. There's the word in Sanskrit. So the meaning, the import of that is what we've been discussing. And at 11:45. We started a little bit late. We gave me permission to go a little bit longer. If there's topics you'd like to discuss, we have some time. If in your little breakout session you shared something you want to share with the rest of us, that's fine too. And I'm ready to hear what all you would like to hear discuss.
Could you explain a little more on meeting your needs from the sacred space? How can we practice? Meeting your needs from the sacred space, how can we practice that? How can we?
That's Paramananda's session. I'll borrow from his session. But what he learned is from someone who teaches this. Maybe Sri Radhika can offer a seminar for your body, mind, spirit group, and she can do her 3-part, 4-part, 8-part, whatever it is. So, but I'll borrow from that. We all have needs, and there's different categories. The physical needs, we need to eat and sleep and etc. We have physical needs. We have emotional needs. We have spiritual needs. And the idea, the principle behind nonviolent communication or empathic communication is if I expect others to meet my needs, I'm setting myself up for frustration. Because the purpose of other people is not to meet my needs. That's very selfish. It's the material conception of self. So I'm responsible to meet my needs. It doesn't mean I can't have relationships where there's give and take with others. It's natural. Friends, family, etc. Like just the other day, I was on my way to Singapore and I had a connecting flight from Dehradun to Delhi, and then it was like 8 hours before the international flight to Singapore came. And I didn't know how to hook up with even electricity, what to speak of Wi-Fi. And somebody saw me struggling, and I didn't know the person, but he helped me. I felt like fantastic because I would have gone through that hour and a half, 2 hours just bewildered. So he knew something I didn't know, and just very kindly he asked, "Can I help you?" And he did it, and then he went back to what he was doing, and his friends and his business. So I could have asked him, and he would have helped most likely, but I didn't even ask. He just saw me struggling, and so meeting your own needs is a principle of nonviolent communication or empathic communication. And you may ask others, you may have others speak to you like this fellow did. Can I help you? What's happening? And I mean, there was another thing. In my power cord, I don't have the little adapter that connects with the outlet in India. There's different prongs. He had one. He said, "Here, use mine. Go ahead." Okay, thank you. Because otherwise, no. We in kindness, acts of kindness, one may extend oneself to others, and others may extend themselves to you, and that's generous. But it's not. If it doesn't happen, I'm feeling frustrated or ignored, or some negative emotion of one kind or another. So meet your needs may mean I ask somebody, "Can you help me?" It may mean you don't even have to ask somebody; they help you. But you're responsible. Each of us are responsible to meet our needs: physical, emotional. Now, generally speaking, emotional has something to do with relationships. So that means the second person. But supposing I have an expectation projected on the second person, you are meant to meet my needs. Period. You didn't meet my needs. You violated my expectation. Then, there's negative feelings towards the person, perhaps. So then comes detachment. Circumstances may be whatever. So this is Gita, knowledge and detachment, jnana vairagya. So the essential teaching is feel contentment. Yenatma suprasidati. Suprasidati. Prasana means happiness within. Suprasana. Great happiness within. Atma suprasana. Happiness on the platform of the soul. That we're responsible for. And when you have that, what the concentric circles out can be whatever they are. You can then impact those concentric circles out much better if you're the Atma prasidati space. You're feeling a satisfaction within, and this meets your ultimate needs, the soul's ultimate needs. And then you do other things in the field of activities that are acts of kindness because you're feeling satisfied within. You're not doing it in a do something to get something, manipulative or fruitive. That's the platform of happiness. And the more there's a room full of people here. Supposing the room full of people here could move some increment in that direction. Fantastic. That's a hope, a desired expectation or desired wish, not expectation. If that can happen, then we'll be happier people and we'll be able to being real happiness bringers to other people because of that potential of contentment within. Don't expect, you project the expectation that your existence is to bring satisfaction to me. That's not a relationship. That's not satisfaction. It's frustration. Sometimes it feels happiness and sometimes it's the other. It's illusion. So that's the elaboration on the theme. Yoga, in its proper sense, is to connect. Yoga means connect with the Supreme. So it starts with knowing who you are. And you are not just an entity unto yourself. You're an entity connected to the source of everything, as is the person's next to you. And that's who I am and that's who they are. And make that connection. That's yoga. And then we'll have better relationships with realistic expectations, not the false ones. And we can help one another find that happiness within because we know how to do it. We live it. And these practice it. 11:45 bell is ringing. Someone else. Okay.
So, Swamiji, this is in continuation to yesterday's discussion that we were having about the baggage that you carry from the previous birth, which comes on to this birth. Now, my question is related to pain and suffering.
Speak slowly. Last part.
My question is related to pain and suffering. For somebody who's lived a very contented life for most of their years of, let's say, they're 80, 85, and suddenly they are ill and they are sick and they're in a helpless state. What do you make of that situation where, so is it their past karma? Is it the current karma? How do you make sense of all the pain and suffering that you see a loved one go through in this state, and how do you reconcile that? How do you embrace the fact that this is life,
That's
pain
a small
and suffering?
question.
So, thank you.
And my answer is it depends. Depends on what? It depends on their karma or their spiritual trajectory. Supposing someone is a uniquely spiritually elevated person, and that scenario that you described happens. Is it karma? No. What is it if it's not karma? It's something else. This something else may be vestiges, the remaining contact with contamination of material identification is being burned. Or it can be persons near and dear to that person get an opportunity to serve a great soul because they're in a helpless condition. I know somebody in that shape and they're in a helpless condition and they're feeling, receiving the love of persons that they've not been in touch with for a long time because they lived kind of reclusive life. And their heart is being touched and it's being filled with, although their body's a wreck, their heart is being filled with joy. But it's not karma. It's an opportunity for that soul to, in this case, that soul to revive the meaningful relationships with other well-wishing individuals and make the divine connection more palpable and real and, at their fingertips. So there can be the other kind, can be the kind like you said, maybe it's prarabdha karma. They're just being delayed. Prarabdha karma means karma that's happening now. that may have been in seed for a long time, and now it's now. So that's a possibility. So it depends. A lot depends on, I'm using this word, spiritual trajectory of that person. And that has everything to do with the intention of that person throughout their life. Have they been 50-50 or 20-75 or 75-25, or what's their spiritual trajectory like? And so depending upon that, the cause is what it is. The experience may be similar, but the external factors of the experience may be similar, but the internal experience is going to be very different depending upon, depends. Who's in charge? No, that's not fair to what's next. One more question. Oh, much better.
Today we talk about connecting with Supreme Self.
Supreme Self.
Yeah, it's one way to do that is full utilization of human body. Can you elaborate in which way we be like fully utilize our human body?
Do you understand the question?
Full utilization of human body. That's what I got from the slides.
Tat paratvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchate. What does that mean? It means while fully utilizing the body, this human form of life specifically, it's not who I am. You're not a woman, I'm not a man. You're not this nationality, I'm not that nationality. We have a covering, but that's not who we are. So hit the delete button, and that's, we have a body, but it's not who we are. So Vinir Muktam, liberated from that designation of embodiment. Tat Paratvena Nirmala. Nirmala means in pure consciousness, Nirmala, without contamination of consciousness. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam. Rishikesha is Krishna, the master of the senses. We use the Rishikas, the senses, and Seva, the service of the master of the senses. Full utilization. So, supposing you're a good cook, supposing you're a good singer, supposing you're a good artist, supposing you're a good dancer, supposing whatever, you've been endowed by your creator with some gifts. You utilize those gifts in service to the one who gave you those gifts. Full utilization to the Supreme, who is the source of everything. And that's the consciousness of mukti, or the consciousness of nonviolence to yourself and to others. Because back to her question about karma, no karma for someone who lives their life that way. Whatever past karma is burned. It's now a pile of ashes. Karma is burned by bhakti. So you're not driven by karma anymore. You're driven by what? Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam. That's the full utilization of the human form of life. So we have different senses. We have an eye and an ear and senses. And have a mind. That's the sixth sense. We fully utilize them. That to our human capacity. It reasonably, within reason, but that's my spirit. That's my intention and purpose of my life. That's what that statement is or means. I think that's what you're looking for. Okay. So we're ready to close up. We give this lady the microphone. Okay.
Much back for Meet the Monk for the other group that didn't get to meet the monk with March yesterday. We're going to take a quick bio break, 3 minutes. For those of you who do not need a break, we're going to put the chairs in one big circle, like how we did it for the empathic communication yesterday. So help me to arrange the chair in a big circle, not semicircle, and stack up the unused